Ever wonder what it's like having a balance between hockey and soccer? Yeah, that's pretty much how it is for me. At times. Learning how to pick one priority over the other. But in the end, sometimes you guys gotta stick to what you can do. Shouldn't have too many problems with that since the hockey season is actually winding down, and I highly doubt that there be any changes going on in the South. So yeah. Might as well I'll have a Coke over here ready. I'm just watching the game that's supposed to precede it until the actual main service itself is supposed to start. Because it starts 5 minutes before the slated start time, but it usually takes a little bit before the game itself actually starts. But if you don't know the news, it's highly possible that we may not even be able to see the Whitecaps in Vancouver after the season. Not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying there's a good possibility of it, given the recent developments over there in British Columbia. Especially considering that there's no clear stadium plan, with the lease set to expire after this season. But as you can see, but despite that, they've won their first 3 games, so they are the favorites to win this one based on that record. Minnesota is probably going to do some standard Minnesota stuff because, well, Minnesota sports tend to be rather weird. I don't know what it is with Minnesota and their sports teams, but they always seem to have this weird thing that goes on with them where half of them, where they seem to be able to do well when they're allowed to, and then seem to just fall apart when they can't even get stuff together. It's a weird sports market for sure. But that said, they are the Vancouver Whitecaps are one of one of the remaining undefeated teams. I just need to check through here the Earthquakes and LAFC. So San Jose Earthquakes and Los Angeles FC are the two others who are still undefeated. Technically, San Diego is also undefeated, but they also draw. They also had a tie or draw, however you say it, in your respective area. But that so that the way maybe I guess how would you count an undefeated season? Do you consider getting a draw being in that the streak is the undefeated season isn't over or what? How do y'all consider it? To me, I think that once you end up in if you either lose a game or end up in a tie, that's when your undefeated season is over. Because a tie is technically also half a loss. It's technically half of a loss. So even though it's not a complete loss, it is half of one. That's why that's where I stand on how an undefeated season goes. So by my logic, the Vancouver Whitecaps, San Jose Earthquakes, and Los Angeles FC are the three remaining undefeated teams. And they're all in the West. They're all in the West. In fact, Los Angeles FC is the first team to go to win 4 games in a season. They're trying to pick up from where they left off and try to actually win another championship. Because I think LAFC won one at some point. Well, but if they haven't, they're still going for their first. I think they won one before. And speaking of LA, the Galaxy are are struggling through their first 4 games. And they did struggle last season too. I think they were in the bottom of the West last year. I think the LA Galaxy were the bottom team of the West last year. I should be able to check. Oh no, it was Sporting Kansas City who was at the bottom of the West last year. But DC United was the worst team in the league overall. But the Galaxy were the second worst team in the West last year. So they definitely got. So they're definitely helping to bounce back. Definitely helping to bounce back. That's what they're doing. And but that game I was watching, New England Revolution versus FC Cincinnati. That's who it was. That's who it was. Cincinnati got a yellow. No, they had a player get a red card. Woof. Not like it would have made much of a difference because they were getting embarrassed. So Takauka is in at net for Vancouver, and this is in British Columbia. See, Yohei Takauka is in at net for Vancouver Whitecaps, for Vancouver, and for Minnesota it's Drake. I did see the name. It's Drake Calendar. You can make all the Drake jokes you want here. They actually show pronunciation. Colander. Colander. Huh. Takaoka. Yeah. As far as I didn't even know that they even showcase pronunciations on the bio stuff. which is interesting to think. But yeah, internet net from Minnesota is a Drake. You can make all the Drake jokes you want now. Because, well, there's definitely gonna be some cores getting struck in this game. Maybe this particular one can manage to avoid striking the A minor chord. I'm really going there with some of these jokes. But what isn't a joke is the formations. I'm looking at the website over here that I have pulled up. Apparently, Vancouver's running a 4-2-3-1 formation. So I believe, and now that I know how formations tend to work, I can actually better explain how they work. And Minnesota's running a 4-3-3 formation. So for anybody who doesn't know what those numbers even mean, the leftmost number of the sequence is is your defense. Is how many is your number of defensemen. The middle number is usually your midfielders. And then your rightmost is like your attackers. But sometimes you'll see a fourth number because they want to run. Because some teams, because so depending on who you ask, some people will chalk out to wanting to be fancy about it. But that fourth number, depending on how they handle the formation, that will be the rightmost number that indicates the strikers. Or they want to get cute with how many strikers they got. But there's different meanings to the formations. I just ain't gonna bother explaining it all. But that's enough of me trying to explain what a number means in a formation. Given how wonky Minnesota sports tends to be, regardless of what I say about Minnesota, and as nice as it'd be to see them win a championship despite all the problems that rose, I'm gonna try to avoid that as much as possible, okay? Despite all that, I'm gonna have to go with Vancouver here. I do think that they're gonna get a 4-0 start to the season. But I think it's going to be pretty close. I think the game winner is I think it'll end up being tied at one apiece, close to the end of the game. But Vancouver gets the winning shot to win 2-1 in stoppage. In the second half stoppage. That's that's what my prediction is gonna be for the game. 2-1, second half stoppage time, game winner for Vancouver. No, I don't think it'll be as dominant as the DraftKings Sportsbook win probability estimates. 65.5 for Vancouver, 20.2 for a draw, 14.3 for Minnesota. Really, guys? I don't think it'll end that horribly. I don't see it ending that horribly. I think it'll be 2-1 late game score, winning game, aim for Vancouver. A lot closer than what it'd be a lot closer than what the people who care about sports betting and caring about their spreads want. That's pretty much where, even though soccer is different from hockey, I've seen enough of games between the two to know you need to have one of those really bad performances from one person in order for a game to get as out of hand as it does. Like, take this particular game between the Revolution and Cincinnati, right? That's been going on. 6-1, Revolution winning. It's been bad. It has been bad for them. Like, real bad. Talk about one of the most embarrassing ways to lose a game. For those wondering, the New England Revolution are owned by Robert Kraft, which means they play in the exact same stadium as the Patriots in Foxborough. But this game here is actually underway. I'm sure whatever Canadian sports network or in the Vancouver area is covering it, it's going to be where you can find it if you're in Vancouver. They're funny enough, both teams are wearing their blue uniforms, except Vancouver is wearing their darker ones, and Minnesota has the lighter ones. So you can kind of tell the difference between the two, since one is wearing a darker blue versus the other one wearing a lighter blue. Confusing? Confusing, guys? Don't worry, it'll make more sense. That is, if I can have some minimal issues. I'm probably gonna have to brush my teeth at halftime. I mainly have it turned down so that I don't have the game picking up on the mic. But Vancouver is already looking to get ahead early. Minnesota trying to get it out of the zone. They can't. Vancouver is going to get a chance. And I don't like how shoddy the coverage is sometimes. You think Apple would get it sorted out by now? There is towards the net. And that is over. Azale Jackson couldn't get it. Was just too high on that shot. His shot, he made a shot too high. But yeah, you can tell then they're gonna go off the rail rather quickly. They always go off the rails around here. Dakota didn't even have to do much saving there. Well, he did do one save, but that shot was going to cross the field anyway. I guess somebody wanted a challenge and wanted a foul or didn't get it. By the way, that New England Cincy game is over. What an absolute embarrassment. Apparently, I need to make some adjustments to my ESPN Fantasy League lineup. Apparently. Let's see here. Oh, I can't do anything. Anyway. Well then. But yeah. Things always go off the rails around here. Er, by the way, I don't think I ever mentioned this, but I don't think I ever talked about any other gaming stuff, but I recently started getting into the Toho the whole Toho project thing. Not Toho, the people behind Godzilla or Gojira, depending on the region, and all the kaijus. No, there's a different one. Toho. Oh, like the OU kind. Unless there's people out there that try to differentiate it by pronouncing it Tao How. And well then, I guess we got ourselves some difficulties now. Um, what's going on with is something going on with my internet? Something wrong with the internet? Something think something weird went on with my internet. I'm trying but apparently something went on. I'm having a foul. And I think there are some internet issues going on here. I don't know why I'd be having internet issues at a time like this. Shouldn't be having any internet issues. Yeah, there was a free kick that was won. So, here comes the free kick. And it goes right into the net. Vancouver strikes first. After some craziness. Oh, it was a penalty kick. It was a penalty kick. That makes sense. But that is Sebastian Berhalter from the penalty kick that secures the goal to put him up on the board. I'm guessing there's been some. I'm guessing there was some sort of random internet issue for some reason. Some things are just flat out weird. But as I was trying to say here, before all this occurred, I just recently started getting into the Toho project. And well, that's supposed to been, I have to say that I was saying it that way to try to differentiate from Toho, the company. Because you have to pay attention to those differences, even if the spelling is the same. There are similar pronunciations. It's like saying you're trying to talk about Pemberton, the guy that was in the Confederacy, with Pemberton, the guy from the Confederacy that went on to a great Coke. Times were different. I think it was Pemberton. I'm sure somebody will correct me. There'll be a historian out there that corrects me. It was somebody that was a former Confederate soldier. And there used to be literal cocaine in this. Yeah, the original version of Coca Cola had actual cocaine in it. Things, the times were just different back then. Times are just different. But anyway, I, re- I recently started getting into the Toho Project series because somebody mentioned it, was brought up the whole thing in a Discord server I'm in. And I basically watched a video that kind of just summarized the whole thing in terms of the main games themselves. So I didn't really play any of the main games, but I got the summaries of them pretty much in terms of what the little story there is. Well, maybe not a little story because there's a whole because it all just builds on top of each other. But I did end up, but I did officially play my play find some free to play ones that I could get the ball rolling in. And been playing a lot of Toho Lost Word. Well, maybe not a lot of it, but I've been playing a good bit of it. I don't know how much story I have left to get caught up on it, but I think I just completed the interlude going into chapter 4 of that story. And there's another goal right there. Well, so much for what I was predicting. Here's a goal for Vancouver. What was I saying? Maybe it is going to be an embarrassing game for Minnesota because Brian White just nailed that one. We had defensive midfielders on a penalty kick get the first goal and Berhalter, and now we got a literal forward going in to get the second goal. There goes my prediction. Oh, there's still time for Minnesota to get their first goal of the game, but if Vancouver scores a third goal, there goes my prediction. If Minnesota doesn't get any goals, there goes my prediction anyway. You want heard you wanted some fireworks in the first 14 minutes of the game. And you're getting your fireworks. You absolutely are getting your fireworks. Here you go. Here's your fireworks. But yeah, I have been playing a good bit of Toe Lost Word. Or it's been fun. It's been a fun experience so far, and I'm hoping to get as caught up to the story as I can without having to spend any money, of course, because it is a free to play game. But so far, I've been doing pretty good with that. And I think I joined Rat. I don't, but I don't know if there was any like I don't know when it actually dropped. Apparently, they may have been they were just celebrating an anniversary. That shot's wide. But yeah, there are some weird difficulties going on here. Some weird difficulties going on. It's in the middle of the day, people. Oh, why are you having these difficulties now? I get that the laptop I'm using right now combined with the internet, makes it run like a bunch of hamburgers squished together like it was an attempt to make some sort of fast food chain. But still, just there. I mean, we've had some crazy stuff go on throughout this. We had some crazy stuff go on these past 6 months. Months of streams. Like literally, the first stream of the current run of streams is like Thursday Night Football. Hey, look, everybody, check this out. We're gonna right off the kickoff have an injury and have a player ejected, both from the same team. Then we're gonna have some extracurricular stuff be thrown in that same game later on. Then we're gonna make it a weather delay, which I had to cut short because I wasn't gonna take a risk. Then nobody scored again after that. Oops. And then Brazil happened with all the craziness and the Chiefs losing. Hooray! And then once we started out with the hockey stuff, it was like, here's a bunch of scoring to make it a 6-5 overtime winning goal for the Lions. And then eventually, hey, by the way, if you thought that was fun, here's a 9-4 win for the Ghost Pirate with some fireworks and some fighting. We had all kinds of we had all kinds of stuff go on throughout these past 6 months. Can't believe it's been 6 months since the first NFL stream came up the 2025 season. How long time it's been? It's been a quite a long while. I may just use the halftime to just brush my teeth because I need to do that again. And I can just see a free kick get won by Berhalter after a foul. Wonder if anybody is a Vancouver Whitecaps fan. Who's been paying attention or hoping that they can stay around. And I wonder how many people here are Minnesota United fans who understand the pain of Minnesota sports and just want to see something good happen. Because, yikes. So, then we had ourselves a little bit of a foul there. And it's a doink off the post. We just saw a shot from the Whitecaps had a prime opportunity to make it 3-0, and it doinks off the post. Man, I sure do miss those doinks. I really miss the doinks. It was always pretty fun when we see it happen in the NFL. Like really fun. Like like doink. And now we get to see it here. Man, I sure do miss that. I'm hoping that the NFL doesn't mess it up to where we don't get any more doinks. Kind of think about it. Did it actually go through? Yeah, it's gonna count. That's There goes my prediction. That's 3-0 for the Vancouver. Matias Laborda gets it a slow roller. Is that a slow roller? It just went right past everybody. It was stopped, and it just went through. Oh my god! Oh, that's a bit one of the funniest goals I've seen. And this early in the season. It bounces down off a player towards the ground, then bounces off the ground past everybody into the net. Oh my god. That is just so funny. And they credit to Matias Laborda. I guess maybe I guess it was because he was the last Vancouver player to touch it. That's probably why. But regardless of that, that's just too funny. That is way too funny to me. It, it made it look almost like it was slowly rolling in, and like it was just one of those like it was one of those pucks that went all the way through, like hi there. Huh. That is just way too that's that's like way too funny. It just bounces off the player and it just bounces off the ground past everybody. Just it's just too funny. Mm. Jeez. Sometimes you just gotta see it to believe it. Man, I'm so glad I watched it just to tune into this over a tie 2-2 game. All right. How are you guys been gonna blow it this time? Yeah, it was Berhalter. It was the final. Yeah, it was. Yeah, MLS just posted it. Laborda was the last one to touch it. That's why I figured it was last touched by Laborda, and that's why he got credited. That's that's just too funny. Man, this is why I love watching these kinds of sports. You get some of the most hilarious moments to ever occur in terms of human errors. You really do. There's nothing more hilarious than seeing some some of the crazy stuff that shouldn't have happened, but because of an error actually happened. Like the person that was supposed to be returning the punts for the Steelers not doing their job and securing a touchdown for the Seahawks in the end zone. The duality of man right there. The duality of man. Apparently, Laurent Brassol is the second goalie in NHL history to wear number 93. Huh. Like, there have been some hilarious things in the past. I know that. But some moments of hilarity just cannot be topped. Just can't. Really just can't top some kinds of hilarities. This game's already out of hand. And we're only just now hitting in the 30-minute mark into the game. Coming along on folks, strap in. Be sure to keep your hands be sure to keep hands, feet, and all your belongings inside of the ride at all times. Because this ride will never end. We'll see if the Whitecaps can make it 4 goals in one half. Yeah, good idea. Just use your jersey to clean things up. Use your jersey to clean up the soccer ball. Sure, why not? Apparently, a little bit of a communication error. But anyway, well, they list them as match days. I list them as weeks, since these are the weeks that there tend to be matches on. Like next week would be week 5 of the season. And as you can see, I already got the game decided for that. Also, I think I should mention now, I decided to move up the final game I'd be covering the Phantoms in for the regular season. Because due to the recent news about the Iowa Heartlanders suspending operations for next season, for next hockey season, I decided that I wanted to cover their final home game of the season as part of a send off. Whether or not the Heartlanders stay in Iowa, who knows? Whether or not they remain as the Heartlanders wherever they go next, I don't know. But hopefully, they're able to come back as a stronger unit when their suspended operations of next year come to an end. They've been trying, but I think the whole mess with Deacon may have led to them realizing this that the financial stuff has been too much to handle. Deacon was pretty irresponsible with how they their with how they handled finances for their teams. They were rather irresponsible, thinking that because they could do something with the Growlers, that they could do something with the Lions and the Heartlanders as well. They really didn't think much through about doing that, which led to them selling the Heartlanders to a local investment, the Growlers completely ceasing operations, and Alliance coming out of it is the best off because they ended up being acquired by Spire, the same ownership group that controls the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, and proceeded to win a championship in just their first season under the new ownership. Lions got out there unscathed. They were lucky too. They nearly went out of business as well. Last season was like a celebration of that overcoming of adversity. And the Heartlanders, even though they're being suspended for next season, they dodged an even bigger bullet. They really dodged it. But yeah, Colliner actually made that save. But it's I'm noticing Vancouver has been calming down a little bit now. I find it crazy that they were able to get 3 goals in just this first half. Just like that. The first goal, off a penalty kick, goes straight in. Second one was just scored during play. Third one came off a bit of a came off from a free kick, and it just slipped past everyone. And that is handed off the post. Minnesota actually gets a doink of their own. Both sides have hit a doink. Doink, 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 doink. That's another one for the books. But did I just see that right? The Iceman scored a goal late into the third period. You serious? You're serious, right? Jeez, this game really loves its funniness. They really love their funniness. Jeez. And there's the foul. And now, Minnesota trying to do what they can. And there's going to be a foul there, as there was two players for the Whitecaps at, that were involved in a little collision. Yeah, yeah, that's a foul. Player gets Whitecap player gets is sent towards the ground, which therefore trips another Whitecap player. Yeah, that's a foul. I know a thing or two about that. About that. Like it's like domino. They fall right one right after the other on contact. And there's a foul there. And wow, the Iceman actually won. It's just been a lot of craziness has occurred throughout. Seriously, the Iceman actually managed to win in regulation against the exact same team that they lost to in embarrassing fashion yesterday. And as if on cue, there's another goal for the Whitecaps. Make that 4 in the first half for Vancouver. 4 goals in just the first half. And it's credit to Emmanuel Savi. Jesus, Minnesota's getting demolished here. What the heck is with this game? In 4 minutes, a stoppage time's finally been added. All kinds of stuff here. Let me see what other scheduling stuff is going on here. Solar Bears are on the verge of winning. Go figure. More saves for Takauka. Jeez, forget about that fourth place playoff spot being a joke in the South. It literally is the NFC South. The Ghost Pirates don't even play. No, really, the Ghost Pirates aren't even playing tonight. Uh, or today, or whatever it is. No, really, that's now 8 points behind the Ghost Pirates for that fourth place spot in the playoffs. Jeez. Am I gonna have to start doing my little NFC South voice for that too? And yeah, that is gonna be be a yellow for Jefferson Diaz. Right as it was about to end stoppage time. That's his first. That's his first yellow card for disqualification. And there is the whistle for the end of half. Jeez. And now I better go do my halftime. Do I need to do during halftime? We just brush my teeth. We'll be back. No, really, we'll be back. Man, who here had this game going the way it is? No, really. I want to know who had this game going this way. Figured it'd be a lot closer than this. Really figured it'd be a lot closer. But nope. It had to go this horribly. I just, honest, can't believe what I'm having to see right now. Just browsing through my feed here right now. They're not giving me much to talk about on here either. Uh, yeah, they're just not giving me much of anything. Yeah, flaw tech. It's flawed right now. Yeah, people are trying to milk it for what it's worth. Oh, okay, so it actually is second half time. All right. But there were some substitutions during the half. Harvey got subbed out for Taylor, and Duncan got subbed out for Longline. So Minnesota made 2 substitutions during halftime. They're down to 3 of them. It's crazy to think. Given how much they didn't want to risk some, given how much they didn't want to risk Diaz getting a red, I'm surprised they didn't sub him out. They probably will at some point if they need to. Remember, if Jefferson Diaz gets another yellow, his the Minnesota would have to play a man down because Diaz wouldn't be allowed to go back in. He'd be done. But yeah, it's been just utter domination for the first half by Vancouver. Just complete domination. Probably is a better pronunciation for Young One. But sometimes you get used to how you pronounce certain ways. But for all I know, it could be Long Wang. And with the H being silent instead of the L being silent. Or it could be Hong Wang. I was just pretending the L is a J, I think. Let's just see how apparently it's Hong Wang. So you got okay, interesting. Wonder if there's a little roll there. Like a hook. Like a like a like a Hong. I don't think I'll be able to do it. So I'll just say I'll just pretend that part of it is sounding like like Hong Wani. Just pretend it part of it is sounding like Hyung Wani. I'll go with that until I'm told otherwise. Hyung Wani. I don't think that many English people here in I don't think that many people here in Florida is able to perform a role like like yeah, I wouldn't be able to roll like a I'd probably get I don't have that kind of voice for it. Like a like I can do like a little crying thing like crying 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 like a crying do something, little something like that like a crying like like crying like a loss or failure. Yeah, it definitely was a loss or failure on my end. Yeah, remember. There's also like your Bjorklunds. No, not that one. I added a Lund at the end. And apparently there's some internet issues going on with you again. You shouldn't be having internet issues. Everything should be running just fine. I don't get what's wrong with you. I swear, this is not an issue I normally have. Just for some reason, this thing wants to be an absolute dingus. This other laptop here wants to be an absolute dingus. Wants to be an absolute dingus. I don't get it. Internet should still be good. I don't get what's going on with like internet is fine. Everything else is still working like it should. It's so weird. It's all why stuff like this is happening now. Am I gonna have to? Apparently, I'm gonna have to. Apparently, I gotta make use my hotspot for it for some reason. But it was. It's a penalty kick that got, a penalty kick got awarded to Vancouver. By the way, just so you know. And it goes through. Make that 5-0 for Vancouver. Finally get those difficulties sorted out. Just in time to see that the penalty kick went in. It's now 5-0 Vancouver. And it goes to Brian White. I believe that now makes him one away from a hat trick. Yeah, he's one away from a hat trick. Like, Jesus, guys. Calm down. Minnesota's already falling apart. Or from the first half. Jesus, guys. This is just getting out of hand. Fast. It's really getting out of hand. It's just crazy to think. Just how crazy this game has been lopsided. This is the most lopsided game I've ever seen occur since when I think the one of the hockey ones. I think the last time was one of the hockey ones. I do have. Let me see here while the action is going. That's wide. They're showing a replay of what was wide. Let me see here. Not that one. I believe the most lopsided occurred back early in the season. Let me see here. Yeah, this one right here. This game right here was the game that got the most out of hand. It was the last time a game went out of hand. And in terms of, or what am I thinking of something else? But in terms of similar format, this was the most lopsided. But I know there's like some NFL ones that got pretty out of hand. Was there an NFL one that got out of hand late in the season? Let me see. That one got. Here's one that was more lopsided. Vikings Packers. That one didn't. Did we ever have a single one get out of hand? That one was pretty low. In terms of the ones I was able to keep track of, it doesn't look like it. It looks like this game right here, towards closer to the end of the season, was the most lopsided. Yeah, it definitely is a smoke show. Oh yeah, it's literally been very much. It pretty much really it has been that. Yeah, totally. It's just been flat out embarrassing for Minnesota. There's no question about it. Absolutely no question. What a dumpster fire. Things went to hell and fast. And what's probably gonna happen is probably gonna be Minnesota fans sing, singing that one thing. And, and that one thing that people sometimes break out. We're fucking shit. That's all it's really been. And I can imagine for the Minnesota fans out there, it's been a lot of this. Yeah, a whole lot of that. Yeah, I mean, you really have no clue just how bad it can get with this sports market of Minnesota. Shut. And look at that. Hollander managed to stop it, but it was offsides anyway. He and Collender blocked that shot, but it was offsides anyway. It's just definite. Oh, you can definitely say you didn't get any fireworks. You definitely got your fireworks. Now we're just missing some beef, and then hold up. That was the timer. That was the timer for the mouthwash, or mouth rinse. That was what if you heard a sound just now, that was actually my timer going off. Let me know that I am free to eat and drink again. I just would not bother with any alcohol. I've never done any of that. I can have another soda if I want. Or have a different kind of dinner. Whatever I want. But I do have to apply that prescription toothpaste later, so I'll probably try to avoid having too much. That is why I think they stole the side over here. It might have been offside anyway. Yeah, I think the flag was up. Just utter domination. There's really nothing else to add about it. Like, don't I will say some swear words, no doubt about it. I try to avoid saying certain things, obviously. And of course, I try not to do it too often. I'm not a sailor. At least when I'm talking here. I try not to use too many of try not to do it too much. This story for you, trending story for you. Chinese physicist create elusive hexagonal diamond that is harder than natural diamond. Huh. Didn't know that was going on. And I don't know what kind of reaction that was supposed to be from a Minnesota player, but that's going to draw a yellow card for Andre Kubas. And Minnesota's doing more substitutions. I'm not sure what kind of reaction they're trying to sell on that, but it was enough to get the yellow onto Andres Cubas. But substitutions are coming for Minnesota. They're down to their final one because they're subbing Giants out for Gene and Jankale out for Rodriguez, and Vancouver is also making a substitution at this time. I mean, they don't. I mean, they might as well rest some of their players, or given how badly they're winning right now. So, Berhalter is gonna sub out for Laris. In fact, 3 substitutions were made by Vancouver. They got more incoming. And Sabi is being subbed out for Sabali. And Ocampo is being subbed out for Skunlau. So Berhalter got a goal and some assists. His his day is done. Sabi, I think he was one of the guys who got a goal. His day's done. They're keeping Brian White in the game. Probably just to see if he's capable of getting a three-peat. Or no, it'd be a hat trick. If he can get a hat trick. That's what it is. That's what it is they're doing. They're waiting to see if he can get a hat trick. If They see they're unable to get a hat trick with a ditto somehow out if they want to. But really with how badly the Vancouver is winning, they're not even gonna. They're just gonna rest them guys. Ain't a biggie. We had that was 5 total substitutions across both teams. Minnesota can only do it one more time. Vancouver can only do it 2 more times. So I can only imagine just what is being thought up. I can only imagine the emotion is going on with Minnesota right now. They're definitely going to want some form of revenge later in the season. Because these two teams got to play each other at least one more time. Because you don't just play everybody once. Everybody's split into East and West. So you have to, while you do play some teams in cross conference, most of your matchups are going to be within the conference. It's just, but yeah, there's really no other way to phrase it other than a shit show for Minnesota. That is. That just got sent right out. Corner goes straight out. Minnesota's trying to look for something. Nope. Oh, that's Tatalka. He was able to actually save it. Watch this be the time where Brian White ends up getting his hat trick, given how this game has been. Geez. You know that this game's you know it's embarrassing when even I get tired of Minnesota not being able to score a goal. But you want to know something I find crazy? Yesterday, Charlotte was able to force Miami into a scoreless draw. Can you believe that? A scoreless draw against Miami, the defending champs, who who pretty much kept most of their roster intact. Here's a block. I'm still trying to figure all this out. Here's the corner. It stays in. Reset. That bounces off the Minnesota player and out. So here comes another corner. And it's going to end up having to be activated back in by Collender. Oof. And I did actually manage to fix up the red card thing, too. So there's now a graphic for who was for actual red card. So I imagine neither team wants their players to get a red card at this point in the game, even though there's really no point to it. If Minnesota gets a red card, that's just going to be another embarrassing blow. You know about embarrassing blows, right? For those wondering how the general layout of the actual scorebook, it's it's supposed to be inspired by one of the older. It's supposed to be a little bit more akin to like one of the older Fox ones, where it used to be like a box in a corner, like a box in a like one. Of the, and by the way, speaking of yellow cards, one is being given to DJ Taylor. It's gonna be a yellow card. So now that's another player at risk of getting shown the red. Here's Vancouver again. I didn't actually go with it. Oh my! Oh my God! The win actually win and makes it number 6 for Vancouver. Oh my God! Oh, oh man! Oh, oh! What an absolutely! That's just way too funny of a goal. I need to see the replay of that. That was just too funny. That is just too funny to ignore. And that's being credited to Sabali. Well, Jake Sabali. It it bounces off on the. They're gonna show the closer look. It bounces off the Minnesota player, almost covered on the ground. Finds its way in alongside the Minnesota player. It's just absolute. That's just an absolute comedy of a goal. If that doesn't describe how this game has been for Minnesota, I don't know what does. Absolute hilarity. Jeez. this really is a dumpster fire of a game for Minnesota. And that goal may have been the most funny way they could have given one up this entire game. It really sums up how bad this has been for Minnesota all game. Just just an absolute dumpster fire of a game for them. Well, in case that 6-1 showing by New England wasn't bad enough. And by the way, there was a substitution for Vancouver. And I think yeah, there it is. They decided to pull Brian White. Brian White is coming off. This his day is over for Elomi. And they're just going to go ahead and use their last substitution right now. Jackson's being pulled for Mueller. Five different people scoring 6 total goals for Minnesota. Not well against Minnesota for Vancouver. Brian White will not get his hat trick. They just feel like they're too comfortable. They have too comfortable of a lead to let them stay in for one. And I really don't blame them. I really don't. And that's going to be a free kick. Just absolute comedy. Jeez. At this point, I'm just waiting for a literal fight to break out. No, really, if I'm Minnesota right now, I'd be like, you know what? That's it. Let me throw some punches at people. Let me at them, coach. Let me at them. There will be no purple. The only kind of rain that's going to be coming to Minnesota is, well, not the good kind that would have been purple. It's going to be it'll be a sad, sad piss rain. It's one of those sad kinds of pissing rains. It's really all that Minnesota's going to be experiencing on the road trip home. And just think, we had plenty of doinks, and Minnesota's just going to go ahead and use their last substitution right now. They just used their last substitution. Nadelford came off in favor of Markinich. Or are you thinking it's Markinich? It's not going to make much of a difference anyway. There's no other way that this. There's just so much comedy that came from Minnesota today. Man, of all the times for things like this to occur, this isn't just a blowout. This is a blowout by how much game. At this point, this might as well be an NFL score. Hey, look, Minnesota's losing by a touchdown. But where's the extra point? Well, we don't know if the other team converted it yet. If the if if Vancouver scores a seventh goal, they can officially say that they won by a full touchdown. – 14 goals scored, 1 goal conceded this season for Vancouver, huh? And this is just their 4th game. Absolute craziness. There have been some absolute craziness. Main question is how much stoppage time they're gonna add. Oh yeah, they're about to start the coverage of the next one, and we're not even through with this. And can you believe it? Can you believe how crazy this is? And that you're there's really not much for me to talk about at this point. Pretty much everything that could have been talked about with this game has been talked about. Unless another goal happens, which seems like it's not going to be happening at this rate. I think Vancouver's pretty comfortable with this. It's Just But yeah, I don't think Vancouver really cares too much about scoring goal number 7. I don't think they really care that much about getting a 7th goal at this point. They have way too comfortable of a lead to even be concerned about it. They really they really are not that concerned. They're really not. We had the first 2 games of the season end 2-0 in favor of the home team. And then week 3, home team wins 3-1. Yay for Charlotte. And then this one is just utter domination by the home team. And that shot is saved. He said 6-0, guys. In case it wasn't obvious. Yeah, they're just they're just playing cute now. You can't blame Vancouver for starting to play cute at this point. They already got this game in the bag. There's really no reason for Vancouver to do anything else. They've already won the game convincingly. My main question is how much stoppage time is there going to be? Because we're in like minute 90 now. So we're going to have to see if there's any stoppage time. Because, yeah, there's no way. Because there's no way Minnesota is even going to bother to come back. It's 4 minutes of stoppage time. So, yeah. I'm sure Minnesota is going to have to find some doves that are willing to play for them at this point. Particularly those that aren't going to cry from an absolute embarrassment. Turns out it was Vancouver who decided to strike some chords, and they particularly went for the they particularly went for the highest chord possible, which is a major. I think the if I believe the highest chord you can reach is a I believe it's a G sharp major. Turns out it was Minnesota who was trying to strike some chords, and they opted to go with a G sharp major. Just so that they can make fun of Drake for striking A minor. Note I said G sharp because they went up. Normally, more often than not, when you think of going up, you're playing a sharp. If you're going down, you're playing a flat. Yeah, I don't think Vancouver's going to score anymore. I don't really blame them. Game's already over. Why try to make it an insult? Just stall out the time. That's it. Just stall the time. You're done. Why bother trying to get another goal? There's no point. It'd just be an insult to injury. And I don't think ain't the ref even cares too much either. They they saw all the domination firsthand and were like, yeah, I don't think there's any chance. But yeah, that's pretty much where it is. Nope, no free kick or any of any kind. No corner. That's it. Vancouver is gonna win this one 6-0 over Minnesota in absolute dominating fashion. What? This is some kind of alternate reality thing. I don't know what compelled them to actually play like this. Just an absolute, just an absolute dumpster fire of a game for Minnesota. And that last goal pretty much just summed up this game pretty well. But that's enough of this absolute comedy. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and as always, till next time, travel safely and just enjoy the day when you still can, because you never know when the Vancouver Whitecaps are going to show up. Goodbye, everyone.